The Daily 202, hawks worry about the lack of American resolve to confront North Korea. Palo Alto, California. President Trump's bellicose rhetoric toward North Korea is making it harder to marshal domestic support for potential United States intervention. This is a widespread concern among fellows at the Hoover Institution, a right-leaning think tank on the campus of Stanford University. Trump has tweeted that Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is wasting his time by trying to negotiate with Pyongyang, suggesting that only military force can curb Kim Jong-un. Corey Sheikh, a defense policy expert at Hoover who held important jobs during both Bush administrations at the Pentagon, Foggy Bottom, and National Security Council, thinks it is very important to open a direct dialogue with the regime in Pyongyang. Negotiations are useful intelligence tools. I have enormous confidence in American intelligence agencies to find out interesting stuff in negotiations, she said. But the main reason I favor negotiations is that we may actually have to go to war on the Korean Peninsula. If we do, my mom is not going to be able to get to a place of supporting that unless she thinks her government has done everything possible to avert it. I don't see how any American administration ever gets to war without negotiations because of the importance of carrying the American public along, most especially if it is a war of choice. California is thousands of miles closer to Asia than Washington, D.C., so the problems of the Pacific Rim have always felt closer on the West Coast, but the hard truth that the Bay Area could soon be in the range of a North Korean intercontinental ballistic missile adds a sense of urgency to the discussion about how to respond. The U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency concluded this summer that North Korea has successfully produced a miniaturized nuclear warhead that can fit inside its missiles, crossing a key threshold, and estimated that the communist country's atomic arsenal now includes up to 60 nukes. I spent the past 2 days here for a roundtable with a group of journalists who cover foreign policy and national security. North Korea preoccupied nearly every conversation. Sheikh, who published a book with Defense Secretary Jim Mattis last year when he was a fellow at Hoover, said that the North Koreans are behaving in a rational way by racing ahead with their program in the face of Trump's threats. She added that she is serenely unrepentant about joining other conservative luminaries in speaking out against Trump during the 2016 campaign. If I was the North Koreans, I would be doing the exact same thing that they're doing, said Sheikh, who was the senior policy advisor to John McCain's 2008 presidential campaign. The administration is being sloppy in the precision of their language about this, and the precision of their language about this matters enormously. To put it diplomatically, Trump has not watched his words carefully. After the president gave Kim the nickname Rocket Man and imposed a new round of sanctions, the 33-year-old dictator called Trump a mentally deranged U.S. dotard. Posing for a group photo with military brass the week before last, Trump told reporters, "You guys know what this represents? Maybe it's the calm before the storm." Asked to clarify, Trump said, "You'll find out." Stanford political science professor Amy Zegart, a senior fellow at Hoover, has been conducting research on what makes threats most effective. As part of a fascinating project on the future of drone warfare, she surveyed a group of 259 senior foreign military officers and asked each to rank 7 factors that would be most important in making a threat credible. She was shocked to discover that domestic political support for military action beat out other factors like the size of a country's military or its willingness to risk mass casualties by a pretty wide margin. If we bring that back home to the current administration, the implications are that the more fractured your populace is, the less popular your administration is, and the less public support you have for military action, the less credible your threat will be, said Zegart, who is writing a book with former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice that will come out next year about how business leaders can manage political risk. Whether it's a drone or a battalion, that's a generalizable ranking of credibility. This is a big change in how we think about warfare. By that standard alone, Trump's threats must not be terribly credible. 3 recent polls underscore Trump's domestic challenges vis-a-vis North Korea. 1. A Washington Post-ABC News survey conducted late last month showed that 7 in 10 Americans agree that North Korea poses a serious threat to the United States, but there is little appetite for intervention. 23% think the United States should strike North Korea first. 67% say there should be U.S. military action only if North Korea attacks the United States or its allies. 8 in 10 of those surveyed think the United States would risk starting a larger war in East Asia if it launched a first strike, including 69% citing a major risk. Only 37% of adults trust Trump either a great deal or a good amount to responsibly handle the situation with North Korea, while 42% trust the commander-in-chief not at all. By comparison, 72% trust U.S. military leaders, including 43% saying they trust them a great deal. While 11% of Democrats and 36% of independents say they trust Trump to act responsibly in dealing with North Korea, more than 3/4 of Republicans say they trust the president, although just over half trust him a great deal. Bigger picture, not specific to North Korea, our poll found that twice as many Americans believe Trump is doing more to divide the country than to unify it, 66% versus 28%. Even at the lowest points of their presidencies, no more than 55% of Americans ever believed Barack Obama or George W. Bush was doing more to divide than unite the country. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe our channel for more videos.